Yo, what's good, family?
Hey, don't let me freestyle. Yeah, don't let me freestyle, actually.
Man, what's good, everybody? This is your crew for today. This is Shot of Sports podcast. Grab a drink and a snack. This is going to be your weekly dose of sports. This is going to be great. Where we'll break down a deep dive on the world of sports, whether you're a casual or a diehard fan. We're here to bring you the latest, the best analysis, and the hottest takes on our topics today. Our buddy Jalen is out today. He's working like the GOAT he is. He works nonstop. So kudos to him for handing off the keys to your boy Nas. And, you know, I'm Nazir Spencer. This is Sam Strash. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube. Go on our Spotify. Go on our, what else do we have? TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff, Twitter.
Yep.
Go on all of that. And, you know, we are set for the day, man. This is exciting. I'm excited to get to everything, man. How's your day? Give me your first thoughts of the day, man. What are you going to do this weekend? I know you're wrapping up school and everything. Oh, by the way, guys, this is the best bowler right now. This is the best bowler in the world.
Well, you think I'm good? I can introduce you to like 20 other dudes that I know that would beat the crap out of me on any given night. But I mean, today it's just job interviews and hope for the best for summer gigs. I already got one. I'm trying to line up another. I wrecked my car, so I'm really looking at saving some money to get a new car in the near future. I'm going to be a little hermit in Whitewater for a bit, so we're going to see where that goes. But other than that, I'm getting picked up to go home this weekend and just spend some time with the fam and then come back out here and start working.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Hey, did you watch the game last night? Did you? I need to know because it was a very interesting game. If you didn't, I'll break it down for you real quick.
I did not, so I'll need that breakdown.
Listen, man, the game we're talking about, fellas and ladies, Nuggets Thunder Game 7 is coming tomorrow or Sunday, excuse me, at 2:30, which is the weirdest time ever. But last night, Game 6, we saw a lot of flopping. I'll give it to you that you can look at the stats all you want, but the flopping was unbelievable. When I'm talking about flopping, I'm talking about SGA. You know, I got my thoughts on him, Sam. He's a great player, but he flops so much and he doesn't need to. I think that it's so weird that a great player of his caliber, he's better than pretty much every guard in this league, next to Luka Doncic when he's on his game on his A game. But everything else, you know, all those little antics that he does on the court, he doesn't pass the ball to the open Jalen Williams in the corner for Game 4. And this game, he's just flopping and is getting out of control, and people are complaining even more. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think SGA last night had probably his most efficient game of the playoffs just yet. 32 points, shooting 11 of 16 from the field, 8 of 11 from the free throw line. Say what you want about his free throw merchantness, but he only took 11 shots from the stripe last night, and I think that's a promising sign for just basketball fans in general. I mean, we all talk about how SGA is a guy that's going to just work his way to the line. I mean, this is prime James Harden levels of working his way to the line, right? This isn't something we haven't seen before, but when James Harden was doing it, yeah, some people complained, but we still called it greatness. I mean, there was no one going out there and averaging 40 plus a night on any given night, and Shea is probably the closest thing we've had to that since James Harden, since when he was with the Rockets. Now, Denver, we talked about this before. I think Denver matches up the absolute best against Oklahoma City.
Absolutely.
I think they do. And we're seeing that now. We're seeing that come into fruition. And if I'm the Minnesota Timberwolves, I really hope this game goes to quadruple overtime and nobody fouls out, nobody gets hurt, so they all just wear each other down and give Minnesota at least a 1 or 2 game lead to start the series, right? This is something that would be peak basketball, is watching 2 MVP candidates in Shea and Jokic go back and forth the entire night, overtime, maybe double overtime. I mean, afternoon for tomorrow, for tomorrow's sake, but go back and forth the entire night and just beat the tar out of each other. Just beat the crap out of each other. That's what basketball needs, and that's what this Game 7 is setting up. Dare I suggest, this is arguably the NBA Finals right here.
I agree. At this point,
I think this very well could be.
With the East, you know, shaping up how it's shaping up. You know, Knicks Pacers is looking like. I know the Celtics just took Game 5, but you know, I think it's going to be very difficult for the Celtics to really come back like that. They still have Jaylen Brown. You can't knock Jaylen Brown, Finals MVP. He's healthy. He's looking great. But like you said, Thunder Nuggets, whoever comes out of this game, you have to think that next round they're going to be the favorites against Anthony Edwards, which I would find hard to believe because the guys. Well, we're going to get to him later, but he's been nuclear on every aspect, especially Julius Randle. Them both have been absolutely amazing, and it's looking bright for that team right now. And I would be afraid if I was the Thunder or the Nuggets facing that.
I would be too. But equally, like I just said, if I'm the Timberwolves, I'm scared of either team coming out of this matchup. Right? Yeah. This is the NBA Finals right here. Honestly, I think the Timberwolves still could edge something out and get to the finals. I think a Timberwolves Knicks finals to see who really won the Cat trade. That would be. I'd watch every single game. I'd take time out of my day just to watch those games.
Absolutely,
and that would be an amazing series to really see who won the trade. But we're watching two MVPs go back and forth at it. And now another interesting quip here is that if the Nuggets beat the Thunder tomorrow afternoon, what does the Thunder's offseason look like? And I think you know exactly what direction I'm going with this. What does their offseason look like? Because what's it going to take? What's it going to take for them to get over the hump? And now I'm not saying it's going to happen, and I don't think it will happen. But there's a certain man with the initials GA in Milwaukee who could pair with another GA in OKC. And if that's what it takes for him to get over the hump, Sam Presti still has every first-round pick in the known universe, and he's got a lot of young talent to throw around. The Bucks could retool, and the Thunder could get over the hump. It works for everybody. It'd be like a Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff trade in the NFL. It works for everybody. The Rams get their Super Bowl, and Detroit becomes a perennial powerhouse. And
see, the thing with that comparison is very interesting to me because when Jared Goff went to the Lions, they were horrible. Okay, we're not horrible. We just made playoffs. Okay. I know what you mean.
The first year they were really bad.
They were they won like what one or two
one
games
game.
Yeah,
one game.
Unbelievable. They were horrible. It was so bad that it got into Jared Goff's mind that he was horrible, right? And for Matthew Stafford, first year they won the Super Bowl. So it's very interesting that you say that because I could see it working out similarly, but I don't think we'd be as bad because they would have to give up Chet Holmgren, in my opinion. I think that would have to be the first thing they give up if they're not giving up Shea. And
of course,
J-Dub, I think he would probably have to be somewhat involved in it, but I don't think they would give him that much because they're already giving us so many picks. But to your point, this if we get a Nuggets Wolves rematch, what do you think has to be the biggest thing for the Nuggets to win that series at this time? Because they lost last year, and obviously Jokic is Jokic, but who has to step up to help him out to win the series? Because as you can see, this playoff graphic right here, this is something else right here. This is a tough schedule that we're looking at right here.
And this is a great playoffs too. This is what every casual sports fan wants to see. Is they want to see upsets and they want to see underdogs, teams that have really no business being here. If you could see my cursor right now, I'd be circling the Minnesota Timberwolves, like it being the 6th seed, right? I mean, they were a game away from being the 3 seed. Let's be realistic here. But just from a numbers perspective, just looking at it face value, you have a couple teams in the Pacers and the Timberwolves that don't deserve to be here right now. And getting to your question now, I think what's got to change in this year's, let's say it'd be a rematch of the Thunder the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. I think the biggest step up is probably gonna have to come from Aaron Gordon, especially guarding Julius Randle, who's been red hot this postseason.
Sure.
I think the guy that has made the difference for the Timberwolves, obviously Anthony Edwards is from a different planet, but the guy who's made the difference has really been Julius Randle. It's been Randle this whole time, and he's really stepped things up. He's found an opportunity to really showcase why he was the 7th overall pick 10 or so years ago. And now he fits into that system perfectly. Aaron Gordon, being the starting power forward for the Nuggets, really has to step up his game defensively. And now, am I saying he's a bad defender? No, he's actually a fairly good defender. Right. But I think now there's got to be a step up because the Timberwolves have that second option now, right? Not to say they didn't have it before with Cat, but this is something we haven't seen all season out of Julius Randle. And now we're seeing Julius Randle start to almost take over when Anthony Edwards starts to slump. And then when Randle starts to go downhill, Anthony Edwards puts 3 threes up in 2 minutes. And Aaron Gordon is going to have to be stout defensively against Julius Randle this whole series if the Nuggets want to take back what was theirs last year against the Timberwolves.
And by the way, everyone, Julius Randle, 29 points last night, 5 assists, 8 rebounds, 13 for 18 on the day. And that is a great second option that you want to have. He led the team in points. And, so let's go the other way real quick before we get into our next topic. Thunder. If the Thunder win, and two more things, actually. If the Thunder win and they play the Nuggets, I think the person that needs to step up has to be Jalen Williams, because yesterday Jalen Williams did not have the particularly great game. That
3 of 16, 0-4 from the arc.
So
not good.
So as watching the game, he was wide open on most of those threes. I maybe all 4. So watching that game last night, it was very concerning to see that, because if he has a good game, who's telling what the outcome of this game? They might be in the next round by now. But it was too much for them, and Jalen Williams didn't have a great game. But I think that's going to be the guy that have to step up. He played 38 minutes last night, more than anyone on the court, which is pretty interesting considering his field goal percentage. And that's SGA's second option, in my opinion. I think that's the guy he looks to rely on, other than Chet Holmgren, because Chet already has so much to deal with Jokic and Aaron Gordon in the paint. So on that perimeter, SGA is going to need a little bit of help, and Lou Dort's not going to get it done because he's your offensive guy,
And Jalen Williams did a great job facilitating the ball last night as well. 10 assists. He also had 7 rebounds. He almost had a Draymond Green-esque triple-double of going like 10, 10, and 10.
Yeah.
He also had 3 turnovers. That's going to happen, but 3 steals and a block too. Forcing 4 turnovers is huge. That's a huge impact. That's why he kept playing in the game, right? And for the Nuggets, don't get complacent around Jalen Williams. Don't get complacent this game. That's a little bit of a fluke game, I'd say.
Yeah.
Jalen Williams really is fighting to be that number 2 spot on this OKC team in that starting 5. Don't let Jalen Williams get hot.
The
Don't
thing
let
about
that happen.
The thing about those teams is OKC is so deep too. The Nuggets only played 3 bench players last night. I don't think that's going to be cutting it in this next game, or if they make it to the next round, I don't think it'll help them very well playing 3 players off the bench, because their starters are going to be way too gassed, especially with 2 game 7s back to back. It's too much. So, I'm thinking personally, Jalen Williams has got to be that second option. And, going back to that trade you're talking about with Giannis and, J-Dub and Chet Holmgren, I don't want it to happen, but it does make sense. It does, because they have so many picks. And, to relate it to the Lions and Rams trade is beautiful, because that's exactly what we're going to get into next, which is our NFL schedule release.
Before we keep going, let me just make a package right here. I want you to give me your quick thoughts.
Go ahead.
J-Dub, Chet, Case and Wallace, 3 picks.
You got to put Chet in there, man. You have to.
That's what I said. J-Dub, Chet. Okay. J-Dub, Chet, Case and Wallace, 3 picks.
See, I don't know if
I like that.
I love
that,
it
though.
I love it, but they wouldn't do it. You know why, bro? Any team that is trying to go for Giannis, they have to know that their team is at extreme risk of losing a lot of their great players.
Well, and then that trade though too, moving Chet, moving Jalen Williams, both on fairly large rookie deals, especially Chet, fairly large rookie deals. Case and Wallace, if I'm not mistaken, was he a late first? He was a mid first. He was a 10th overall. Yeah. Mid first rounder, 10th overall. They're all on decent sized rookie deals. Giannis is getting paid $50 million. And if I'm not mistaken, OKC is still barely under the first apron. They can make that happen salary wise. And if it takes moving Caruso too, or moving Caruso over one of those 3 guys, which I would hate for that to happen.
Probably a third team involved,
Exactly. Get someone else involved, get some other moving parts, maybe sign and trade with Brook Lopez or Bobby Portis.
Right.
And then move some picks. And that could work. And then it leaves OKC with some room to spend to add to that bench that is already so deep.
You'd have to find that third team that'd be willing to go along with it. Though. That's the hardest part. Getting a 3-man trade.
You could 100% bully the Hornets into doing whatever you want.
Absolutely.
You could 100% bully them into doing whatever you want.
Mark Williams.
The Wizards are at everyone's beckoning call right now. I
don't even know
both of those teams. They would have to take on salary. They would just have to take on salary.
Make Jordan Poole $1. See what happens. All right, boys. Let's get into our next topic, NFL schedule release. I want to know your initial reaction to the Packers schedule release, because they have a pretty interesting schedule. And to look at these the Sunday night football schedule real quick, this is what it looks like. And that week 8 is looking real nice, and that week 10 is looking real nice. Oh, you got week 4 too. You got 2 primetime Sunday night games.
Yeah, that week 8, especially if a certain quarterback goes to a certain team, that week 8 is looking very feisty.
Right? They did that on purpose. They did that very much on purpose.
I love week 1. I love week 1 Sunday night football. That is going to be stellar.
Yeah. This is
great. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. We had our fights over who should have gotten MVP last year. And now we're going to see. Now this is bag watch, right? Mm-hmm. Someone's getting their bag week 1.
Yeah.
Week 2, snooze. Week 3, Chiefs are going to beat the tar out of them. Week 4 should be good. Week 4 should be good. Adding George Pickens to that Cowboys pass-heavy offense, that's a good move. Mm-hmm. And the Packers, I mean, hopefully with a fully healthy Jordan Love, because let's be real, they played him through a whole bunch of just minor injury stuff after that. After that knee injury in week 1 in Sao Paulo last year, where he nearly lost his leg, that he was playing hurt all year last year. He looked off, right? It was a true sophomore slump that really wasn't his fault. Right. So that game could be really good week 4.
Another thing real quick before you move on, the Cowboys, they picked up George Pickens, by the way. They have Pickens and CeeDee Lamb now.
Mm-hmm. With that, I think I mentioned that. I thought I mentioned that at least. Yeah, that's adding to a pass-heavy offense like that. That's a good move. That's going to be very interesting. And Green Bay's secondary is just not the greatest anymore. Jair's always hurt. Evan Williams is good. Javon Bullard has been. Javon Bullard.
Is Jair going to stay?
I don't think long term. I think it's just one more year. Get him out of there. Like, thanks for everything, buddy, but kick rocks. You know, that's really what it's come down to, is that Jair just really isn't worth the price tag anymore for how little he can stay on the field. So to combat that, you have to move on from the guy. Maybe give him a year. Give him. You ever see that meme where the dude's like, all I ask is for one more day. You give me one more day.
Give me one more day.
Give Jair one more year. We'll see, right? There's no harm in keeping him.
Oh yeah, he's great.
And it's like there's a phrase in baseball that's like, you can't lose a playoff spot, or you can't win a playoff spot in May, but you sure as hell can lose one. Same thing goes with Jair. You can win right now at the risk of leveraging your future. It's along those similar lines, right? You can win now by keeping Jair Alexander, but you're really risking your future if you don't move on from him right now.
Right.
They have a chance to. You're not going to get too much for him. You're not going to get a lot like what you would have gotten for him 2 years ago, 3 years ago. You're not getting that.
Yeah. What would your package be for him? Like, where would he even go? Like, who would want him? You know, he's good, but is he worth anything?
Maybe like a current year 4th and a future 3rd, that conditional 3rd that can move up to a 2nd based on games played or stuff like that. Yeah, performance and games played. I think that's what we're seeing right now. Is a 2026 4th or 5th round pick, and then a conditional 2027 3rd. That's really what you're going to get for Jair, because you're just really cutting the salary space. You're cutting down on salary. That puts the Packers back in a good financial situation for the upcoming offseason. But at the same time, moving on from him has its risks too. It has its risks. But getting into your initial question, the Packers schedule, week by week here.
Yeah, let's look at this schedule too. Yeah,
week by week. Let's see. Detroit. I don't know. I don't know about Detroit.
You don't know about them?
Well, in the sense of. Yeah, in the sense of they lost quite a bit in coaching, that I'm not sure what they're going to look like week 1. I'm sure that they'll be fine. I'm sure that they're going to be just as heavy in the run game, but I don't really know what they're going to look like. It's in Lambeau Field, afternoon game, probably America's Game of the Week on Fox. I'll take Green Bay. I'll take them for week 1.
Okay.
Week 2, Commanders will take us. I think they will. Thursday Night Football, short turnaround. I think the Commanders got us. They're hot. They're young.
Yeah.
They look good. I think Jaden Daniels can dice up the secondary a little bit. Beat the Browns, beat the Cowboys. So we're 3-1 going into a super early bye. The Packers got screwed over by the bye.
That's what the Chargers have been like for like past 3 years, man.
Exactly.
Week 12.
Screwed by the bye.
Yep.
Screwed by the bye. So I think 3-1 going into the bye is fair. 3-1 or 2-2. Somehow, some way, they will be 3-1 or 2-2. They're certainly not losing to the Browns. So at absolute worst, they'll be 1-3, which I really would hate to see that. But at absolute worst, they're 1-3, and they can use that bye week to turn things around. Right. Give me them over the Bengals at home. I think they'll win that. They won it a few years ago against them, a largely similar roster build with the Bengals. I think they'll take them. It'll be hard, though, because we're talking about that secondary, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
They don't have a good secondary either, though, dude. You'll be fine.
That game might end 50-49.
Yeah.
If there's one game that I can guarantee you any sort of please play this line, I think that game goes over.
Okay.
I think that game goes over.
It's not betting advice.
Not advice, but if I were to,
if I
were to, right? So give me a 4-1, 5-1 against the Cards. We'll lose to Pittsburgh. I think that's a game that we'll lose. Okay. So especially if we get an Aaron Rodgers revenge game, I think we'll lose. And that's assuming he still has to go there. He still has to go there.
You're the only
that's
team,
on NBC.
You're the only team that he hasn't beaten in the NFL. Fun fact: the Green Bay.
Exactly. So it's a match made in heaven right there. So let's say 5-2. Call me crazy on this one, but I think the Panthers come into Green Bay and beat us. I think the Panthers are starting. I think they're starting to turn things around slowly but surely. Bryce Young started to blossom a little bit towards the end of the year, showed why he was the number 1 overall pick, and that you can't jump ship on the quarterbacks too early. It just goes to show in any draft situation. The first 2 years, you cannot jump ship unless there's something severely wrong. Unless it's like Josh Rosen-esque, you cannot jump ship on a quarterback that soon. Right. So Bryce Young has been showing a lot of good things. He's shown a lot of flashes. And I think this year year 3 will be his year breaking out in the NFL. I don't think he's going to be like 40 touchdowns to 10 interceptions with like 5,000 yards or anything like that. I most certainly don't agree with that. But I think Bryce Young at 3,500 to 4,000 yards, 25 to 30 touchdowns, 10 picks. I think this is going to be a good year for Bryce Young. I'll take the Panthers beating us. So 5-3.
Okay.
5-4 lose to the Eagles. This is a rough stretch. 3 losses in a row. Rough stretch. Giants will take 6-4. I think we'll take the Giants.
It's gonna be one of those trap games, though. I think
it is a trap game, but it's also you lose 3 in a row. That's a bounce back.
Yeah, for sure.
Bounce back. You walk into your trap, take over your trap. We're gonna be at MetLife. Gotta see it.
Yep.
Week 12 against the Vikings.
Have fun.
Now that's
an interesting one. JJ with the JJ starting and stuff this year. That's interesting, man.
Nobody knows. I think that. We talked about this last year a little bit. This is a perfect quarterback situation for JJ McCarthy. Perfect situation. You couldn't have made this out to be any better than it was. You built everything around the quarterback position. This is how teams really should rebuild their teams. If you're an executive for an NFL team, look at what Kevin O'Connell and his team did. Right. Look at what they did. They built everything else and then brought in the quarterback. All they needed was a game manager. That's why they drafted JJ McCarthy. And they knew quarterbacks were going to fly that draft, so they took him at 10.
That's a smart move, dude. This year was not the greatest for quarterbacks. If they were still in need of one, they would not have gotten a great one. So,
and what they also did was bring in Sam Darnold, who's another game manager-esque quarterback who sat behind Kyle Shanahan for a year.
Yep.
In San Francisco.
The Super Bowl.
And yeah, exactly. Nearly won the Super Bowl. Granted, he wasn't playing, but he nearly won the Super Bowl for them. Yeah. So, or with them, not for them. So, brought in that experience, another game manager-esque quarterback, and it worked. Mm-hmm. And then they got kind of shafted in the first round, but that'll happen, right? So,
that's always happens, yeah.
I think Minnesota could be great again.
I mean, it'd be dangerous, dude. I really do.
They're so low floor, high ceiling. It's such low floor, high ceiling. In this situation, give me the Vikings 6-5. I think we'll fall to Detroit 6-6. I think this is a hot start, slow middle, and then a hot finish. Beat the Bears, get our get back week 14. So that'd be 7-5 if I'm not mistaken.
Bears are looking good too, though, man. I don't know.
They are. They are. It's gonna be tough, and the Bears don't have the toughest schedule in the world. It's not. It's not great, but it's not.
It's not hard
per se.
But outside of the division games, it's not terrible.
No, definitely not. Because we're facing the AFC North and the NFC. What's the other division we're facing here? The NFC East.
Oh, NFC East.
Yeah. Yep, NFC East. So the AFC North, NFC East. It's certainly not hard, but it's not an easy schedule.
Right.
I think these divisions, all three of these divisions, the NFC North, NFC East, AFC North, are going to be three very tight divisions. Outside of the Giants and the Browns, take those two teams away, and those are the three toughest divisions in football. I think it's just going to be a bloodbath.
I really don't. I wouldn't personally. I wouldn't sleep on the Browns. I know the quarterback situation. Just hear me out. 2 years ago, they had the best defense in the league with a
they saw Myles Garrett,
mediocre offense. But now they have three quarterbacks on payroll who are like young. Obviously, Deshaun Watson's still there, but ACL not going to play.
He might not play. He might be done for his career.
Yeah,
for all we know.
So we're looking at Shedeur and Gabriel. So I wouldn't sleep on them because their defense is so well put together and it's only getting better. But the offense is what puts them back, and we don't know how it's going to look yet. That's the only issue. But just don't sleep on them a little bit. But yeah, I agree.
I won't, but I think they're realistically, especially being in that division and then having to play the NFC North. Yeah. I think their ceiling's like 5-12, especially with the inexperience at quarterback. I think that's their ceiling, but I could see a world in which they win maybe a sixth game. Right? They'll make some noise. They'll turn some heads. They won't make the playoffs, but they'll turn some heads. They'll
winning some games.
Interest. Yeah, they'll bring some interest back to Cleveland. I agree with that. So
continue.
Yes, I think we're at what 7 and 5?
Yeah, 7 and 5.
Heading into Yep, that'd be. Yes, that's right. 7 and 5. So beat the Bears 8 and 5. Beat the Broncos 9 and 5. I think we'll lose in Chicago though, because I do think the Bears got better.
The Broncos are tough.
I think they're tough. They're certainly tough. I'm not sleeping on Denver, but I don't know. I feel like they slightly overachieved last year. They improved over the offseason, but I don't really remember seeing any major Denver Broncos moves. They brought in Evan Ingram, good move, bringing in a solid tight end. They were missing that all year last year. They needed that solid tight end. They still have a good receiving core in Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, a couple other dudes mixed in there. And the defense is all right. The defense is pretty good, right? Yep. So they're going to be another pretty good team. But again, facing the NFC North, bloodbath of a division. Yep. Not going to be easy for them. I think Green Bay can take them there. So that puts us at 9 and 5. Lose to the Bears week 16. I think we'll be 9 and 6. And then I don't see a world where we beat Baltimore. It is in Lambeau.
Oh, it's in Lambeau.
But I don't see a world where we beat Baltimore. That's tough.
I don't know. It's hard to.
That's another game that could very easily end 50-49. Another one that could very easily end in like super high scoring fashion.
Shout out Jalen. He's in the chat. He's in the chat talking to us right now. He said Bears Vikings week 1. The NFL loves the Bears. So all of a sudden he's right. I don't know what's going on with that, but hey, whoops! Congratulations to you guys. Not this
Raise the banner. Yeah, 3 straight off seasons won, Jalen. Raise the banner.
There you go.
So I think we'll lose to Baltimore there week 17 in Green Bay. So 9 and 7, and this could be one of those weeks where week 18 you have to win. Mm-hmm. You have to win week 18. And I think the experience at quarterback will play in favor of Jordan Love over JJ McCarthy. Give me the Packers to win week 18 in Minnesota. I think they sweep them this year 10 and 7. It's going to be a roller coaster ride of a season. I don't know how this team's going to look. There's guys coming back from injury like Jordan Morgan, Jair, Eric Stokes, I think, is gone now. But Evan Williams is going to be back fully healthy too. Josh Jacobs is going to be year 2 in Green Bay. Maybe we'll see Christian Watson again, maybe not. But Matthew Golden, adding him to the receiving core is a great move. Green Bay is going to have a roller coaster of a year, but it's going to be a fun one to watch. I think the ceiling for them is 12 and 5. I think the floor, and it's a fairly low floor because of how tough that schedule could become. I think the floor is 7 and 10. But I think the ceiling is 12 and 5. Okay. You have a 5-win ratio right there. There's a few games. The toss-ups in there, I think, are Denver, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Carolina, and Pittsburgh. Those are the toss-ups.
I love it.
Those are the toss-ups.
All right. Chargers schedule real quick. For everyone that doesn't know, before we get to our Sunday night and Monday night real quick, I'm going to name off these and what I think is going to happen. All right. Week 1, we play the Chiefs in Brazil. Dumbest game I've ever seen in my life because
horrible move.
It's a waste of a home game. It's stupid. Someone's going to get hurt. I don't want to see anyone get hurt. I don't care if it's on the Chiefs, Chargers. I don't see anyone get hurt because it's week 1 in Brazil. Dumb game. Okay. I think we'll take that one. I'm not going to lie. I think that's a game that we should be able to take. You know why? Because we start 3 weeks. Our first 3 weeks are division games, which I think is unbelievable. We have a big boy schedule this year. So this is going to show a lot of Harbaugh and a lot of Herbert. He's got a lot of stuff to prove. I still think he's a top 5 quarterback, but he has a lot to prove after that horrible performance back in January. So at the Chiefs versus Chargers week 1, I think Chargers will take it. Raiders on Monday Night Football in Vegas. We're gonna win that. I hate the Raiders so much with a passion. Broncos, I respect. Only team I respect in our division because you got the Black Magic Chiefs and the Raiders. Broncos, I think we'll lose that one. And then we go to New York and we play the Giants 3-1. I think that's a game we take. And just like you, we play the Commanders. We play them week 5, though. And I think we will lose that one. That's at home. Jaden Daniels.
The Commanders are going to be nasty. They're going to be so nasty. Year 2, yeah. They're going to be gross.
It's going to be hard. Week 6, at the Dolphins. That's an interesting one. We always play the Dolphins pretty well. That's a tough one. I think we'll win that. I don't think the Dolphins are that great, but we also just have so many hiccups, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Week 7, the Colts. Now that's an interesting team. Okay, quarterback situation is very, but everything else is like you're on the right track, you know. So I think we can pull away from that one, and then we go back home on Thursday Night Football against the Vikings, against JJ McCarthy, coming to play Harbaugh in LA. Great game. I think we take that on prime time. I think we take our 3 first primetime games, and then we play the Titans at the Titans, and then we go to the Steelers or go home and play the Steelers, and that's week 10, Sunday Night Football, and that's going to be a tough one. I think we'll lose that one. We go and play the Jaguars, and you're a Jaguars fan, so you can go ahead and put your opinion on that one, but I think we won that. But
I agree. I don't know. Jacksonville is just in a weird spot again. Brand new head coach, though, who just came off a season leading Tampa Bay's offense to be one of the best, if not arguably the best in football last year. You can make the case that Tampa Bay had the best offense in football at one point or another last year in the NFL. Liam Cohen's not a bad move to add as a coach. He was about to be made the highest paid coordinator in NFL history, too. He was. Tampa Bay.
Hunter.
Yeah. Adding Travis Hunter.
That's gonna be tough.
Adding Travis Hunter. I was not a fan of the pick at the time, but adding a guy like Basil Tutin to the running back room.
That's a good one.
Because ETN he's fell off. He's not been good lately.
I don't know. Your O-line was not good for him last year.
That's also true. And they did add what was it? Will Ryman, I think his name was. It was an offensive lineman in the draft in the 3rd round.
I don't know.
They added a lineman, and they added Basil Tutin. But yeah, ETN fell off, and it wasn't even just a last year thing for ETN. It was 2 years ago too. It was 2 years ago he also started to fall off, and then 3 years ago was when he was a star, right?
Yeah,
that was when they made the playoffs, and then we won't talk about the wild card for your sake. They almost beat the Chiefs in the divisional round. So that year ETN was great.
Yeah,
ETN was great that year. But Tank Bigsby still has a fumble problem. Hasn't shown me. He showed flashes last year, but he hasn't shown me enough that he can be a running back 1. He can't be RB1 yet. Basil Tutin had 50-plus touchdowns in his 4 years at Virginia Tech.
That's true.
ACC school. ACC was not a great football conference, but Virginia Tech was also not a great football team.
Right.
And he led the way for them. He led the way in scoring. I'm pretty sure that's a program record, too.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, so and then Jack Kaiser on defense is a good linebacker add from Notre Dame. So I'm not saying they will for sure lose that one, and I'm not saying the Jags will for sure be bad. I just think on face value right now, the Chargers are the better team, and Jacksonville is not the greatest right now. There's too many question marks. I'll take the Chargers in that one.
That should be a primetime game. But hey, Jalen, you joined. But we got week 13, the Raiders, and then I think we'll sweep the Raiders, and then we'll play the Eagles Monday Night Football. That's a loss. That's an easy loss. We go and play the Chiefs. We lose that game. Play the Cowboys in Dallas. I think we win, or we might lose that one. We never beat the Cowboys. We go and play the Texans week 17. That's going to be a get-back game. I think we'll win that. Then play the Broncos final week, and that was great. Great stopping by Jalen. I don't know what that was, but hey, good.
Quick little cameo appearance.
Quick cameo. He's at work at his new job, KSL, I think, TV, and in Utah. Congratulations on that. And then, I think we'll have a pretty cool year. But real quick, these are our Sunday Night Football. Which one kind of catches your eye a little bit? I think for me, it's the Lions Chiefs game is going to be very interesting because I don't know what's going to happen in that game. Actually, Eagles Lions. My bad. Eagles Lions, crazy.
Eagles Lions will be great. I feel like Chiefs Lions could be a possible Super Bowl preview, possibly.
Really? You think Chiefs are going to go back?
It poses the chance of having a Super Bowl preview attached to it. I'm not saying that that's what I think the Super Bowl will end up being. We'd have to do. I think next week we could do a full schedule release, or not a schedule release, a full predictions, like a scheduled predictions where we ahead of time we make this right. Yeah. Ahead of time we talk about each matchup, make the schedule, or pick each matchup in the schedule every single week. And then at the end, we'll pick our playoffs, and that'll be our debate for the show. I think that's a good idea, right? I'm just pitching something.
We'll keep that in mind for sure.
Yep.
This is the Monday night as well, by the way. This is a cool one.
I think Monday night, what I
Chargers
would
Eagles
look forward to the most is probably Chargers Eagles. Eagles Packers is a good one too.
Commanders Bears.
Commanders Bears. And actually, on that Sunday Night Football, and to answer your initial question, go back to the Sunday Night Football graphic really quick if you could. If we could circle week 17, I would.
Wow.
I would circle week 17.
That's actually right. You're right.
I think that's a matchup where the Niners were cold last year.
Mm-hmm.
The Niners, and not in a good way cold. They weren't like, oh, that's cold. They were like, oh, geez, this team is cold. Like they're not good, right? Last year they were not good. They had
Still there, Sam? Hold on. Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. But you still there, Sam? Yeah. I'll give him a second to come back with us real quick. But that the idea of having that schedule release for our show is a very good idea. I think we'll get into that more next week. But you back, Sam? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, you got me now. You got me now, or
yeah.
Okay, perfect.
You're good, my bad.
So I'm not sure what happened there, but anyways, we're good. The live never cut. So like I was saying, the Niners had a down season. To their standards, they had a down season. I think they'll be back, and I think they'll be good. Right?
Yeah, they're gonna be good.
The Bears had we make jokes about it all the time.
Had a great
3 times. Yep, we made jokes about them having a back-to-back off-season champions, right? But this year, there's something different about it. As a Packers fan, there's something different about it that makes me not worried about the Bears, but concerned. Matching up against the Bears.
That's how I feel about the Broncos.
And exactly. So week 17, Bears-Niners is a game that I would circle right now as having legitimate playoff implications.
I think it's going to be more so the Bears trying to make playoffs while the Niners are kind of locked.
I think so as well. I think so too, but I also see it posing a risk of both of those teams are 8-7 going into that matchup. The winner stays alive, the loser gets knocked out. In Levi's Stadium, that would be must watch. That would be drop everything and watch that game. Football.
Yeah.
That would be drop everything you're doing. And that would probably be the last, around New Year's Eve or just after the New Year.
I think it'd be right after. No, right before, I think.
Bears Niners week 17. Let's just confirm the date here while we're at it.
Yeah.
Week 17, December 28th.
Okay, so
December 28th.
Yeah.
Just after Christmas, right before the New Year. That is drop everything you're doing and turn that game on.
Jalen, be prepared for this matchup, week 17, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be big time for you guys. And I'm excited to see. Hey, looking at this Monday night schedule, I'm really excited for that Chargers-Eagles game. I don't think we'll win it because the Eagles are very, very talented, and our O-line still needs a little bit of work. And our wide receivers, I'm still a little sketchy about because they aren't fully developed. In my opinion, I think we should go sign Keenan so we can get Keenan, Ladd, and Mike Williams on the same team. I think that's a great combo.
I think Keenan did sign somewhere though, did he not? I'm pretty sure
he didn't. He's still a free agent. He's still a free agent. I don't know why, because he's still a top tier wide receiver. But with our team, we'd have Keenan, Ladd, Mike Williams, and QJ at the bottom, and then we have Najee Harris and Amarian Harris as our two running backs, and even
Marion Hampton,
yeah. And if we decide to sign J.K. Dobbins, I wouldn't mind that, but I don't know the point of it anymore because we wouldn't have to run three. I mean, Harbaugh, he'd probably want to run three running backs anyways. So, I mean, I see that's a win-win, for their offense. I think that's the one thing.
And it brings Keenan home too, and it brings him home.
Brings Keenan home. The one thing we're going to struggle at is tight end, but that's okay. We got everything else. So that's our schedule breakdown for you guys. Hopefully, we'll get back to you guys on Tuesday with that and get everyone on the pod and get a little breakdown of the schedule and what we can debate on what teams that we think is going to win. Like week 1, who's going to win between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson? Well, I'll tell you one thing. I think Lamar Jackson, but that's just me. They're going back to Buffalo. We're going to see how that pans out in the future. Now, moving on to one more bracket before we get into our final topic, Anthony Edwards. We're going to look at the NHL playoffs. Now, Edmonton moved on, beat Vegas. Great game, by the way. Great series, for them. And then we got
for being a 4-1 series.
Yeah, right.
That was still a fun watch. Riley Smith would quite literally a true buzzer beater, hitting the crossbar and banking it in at the buzzer was insanity.
Yeah, that was wild. That was with 0.2 seconds left or something like that. It was crazy.
He left the stick at 0.2.
Yeah, 0.2. That was crazy. And Dallas versus Winnipeg. We predicted the Stars would win, but this is still a great series, and we don't know exactly what will happen in Game 6 because Winnipeg is still a great team. And look to your right, Sam, your top right. What is going on there? They were up 2-0, right? Oh man, that Florida team is something else.
We say it all the time. The Toronto Maple Leafs are just the Dallas Cowboys, but on ice. If there's a Disney on ice in the NHL, it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're the Dallas Cowboys. Make the playoffs, and then what do you do? That's the mentality. That has to be what it is. Their team is always well put together, led by Austin Matthews. John Tavares has been great, and he's getting older, but he's still good. He's still serviceable. But you make the playoffs, and that's the whole mentality every year. Just make the playoffs. We're going to be great in the regular season. Make the playoffs, and then you make the playoffs. It's like, okay, now what? What do we do? What are we supposed to do now?
Nothing. Now,
and then
right?
just shit the bed. I mean, that's basically what they do every single playoffs.
It's embarrassing at this point, man. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I thought Washington was going to put up a little bit better fight against Carolina, but that series was over when it started. I'll be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
That I was feeling good for Washington just as a, I wanted the storyline. I wanted Ovechkin to make it at least to the conference finals, but
it's okay though.
Florida Carolina would be a good series to watch, and I personally hope that Dallas pulls it out. I think they will. Connor Hellebuyck has not played good enough in the postseason to justify Winnipeg moving on.
I agree.
He just has not.
And I wouldn't mind seeing a Game 7 though. I would not mind it.
But I wouldn't either. I think it'd be good for the sport. Let's pull up the box score while we have it. While we have the chance here. If it'll load for me, that'd be great. 4-0 game. Hellebuyck with 22 saves. Played great last night, shutting out Dallas. Another good shutout for him. I'm too big on Mikko Rantanen to believe that he's going to have another game where he goes 0 for 4 on shots on goal. Right? He's had a couple hat tricks this postseason. He's had at least one, if not two. I've struggled to believe that Connor Hellebuyck turned things around. He got start of the game. He got the 1 star. I don't think Winnipeg's going to pull this one out. St. Louis showed so many insecurities that Winnipeg has on that team and on the ice that I think Dallas is just going to keep going. They're going to steamroll, and then Dallas, Edmonton, Florida, Carolina. I'd watch almost every game. Yeah, I would.
That's a good
getting into hockey. This is just getting into hockey. You have McDavid, arguably one of the greatest hockey players of all time.
Yep.
Going up against a red hot Stars team, never won a Stanley Cup. They egged out a 4-3 series win against Colorado in heartbreaking fashion for the Avalanche. Went up 3-1 on Winnipeg. They should be able to finish this one out going back to Dallas for Game 6. And Edmonton, they're going to be well rested, but they're going against the steamroller that is the Dallas Stars.
When it comes to this is the thing about series for me. When you have that much time to rest, dude, it kind of sucks when you come back the first game and you have to get back into the motion because you have so much rest. Like, that's why sweeping teams for like in the NBA to me is just like great, but you better show up first game because I know you got the rest, but you have to make it work. You have to make it work, and you can't be, sluggish. That's the word I like to use for it. But that's going to be great. This is our playoff bracket for the NHL. If you guys are not into hockey, I highly recommend it. Get into it. It's a great watch. It took me a while to get into baseball, and I enjoy it very much now. But like, it's the same thing with this. NHL is great. It's going to be one of those sports that you just absolutely love to go into, and just have fun and watch the sport, man. Let's watch the sport. But getting into our final topic, Sam, I think you know where this is going, and I think we just I feel so stupid because I put Ja Morant over this dude so many times, and I defended Ja with my life and Zion because they're 1 and 2 for me, and some of my favorite players out of college. But Anthony Edwards has turned into Thanos, and he's on the brink of snapping his fingers. Once he snaps his fingers, he's in the finals. If he gets this, let's be real here, okay? He's got KD off. He already dropped Jokic off once. That's already a stone. He dropped LeBron off and Luka. If you want to count that as 2, go ahead. And then he dropped Steph. And then he gets another chance to snap his fingers and beat the GOAT. The GOAT in our game right now.
It's so hard though to call that as dropping off Steph. It is hard because
I don't think it is.
I don't think so either.
No,
it's a hard call. But we talked about it going into this series that there's a very realistic chance that the Timberwolves are going to beat the Warriors, and I think they still would have, even with the healthy Warriors team.
I don't know, man. I think
they still would have.
Steph changes that team entirely, dude.
He does.
He dropped 13 before he got hurt, and it was the first quarter. So I was like, man,
it's also though you got to consider that the Timberwolves aren't just going to lay down and die once Steph enters the court.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. I think that series would have gone to 7. I just think the Timberwolves would have pulled it out. I think the Timberwolves would have pulled it out because it would have been in Minnesota. That's a hard place to play right now. I think the Timberwolves would have pulled it out. But it's just I can't really justify saying he took down Stephen Curry without actually taking down Steph. He took down Jimmy Butler. Playoff Jimmy's great.
Does that count? Does that count as a stone?
I don't know. I don't think so. When we're talking the likes of KD, LeBron, Stephen Curry, Jokic, we can't really include Jimmy Butler in that conversation. Jimmy Butler's like a tier or 2 below that.
See, he's
still going to go down as Jimmy Butler's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, absolutely.
He's 100% a Hall of Famer, but he's not on that tier of greatness.
Yeah, I agree.
Those guys are. He's still great. He led some of those really crappy Heat teams to the finals multiple times, but he's not on that same level. But Anthony, if we could get a Thunder Timberwolves match,
that's what I was about to say.
This is the future of basketball right here.
Exactly
the next 15 years, we will see both Shea, Chet, and Anthony Edwards. Every single year, they will be in the playoffs for the next 15 years.
Here's the thing about that series, dude. See, you know how earlier I said Shea is like pretty much – he's kind of above every guard, in my opinion, right now, besides maybe Steph at his peak and Luka. But every other guard struggles against Shea, and it's actually kind of interesting because Ant and Ja Morant do not play great against Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. It's like fairly known, and even Ant was like when he played him in the regular season, he's like, You know, they're a great team. They're, you know, you want to be able to beat the best, and they are the best right now. And to admit that is great, but it all comes down to this: if they are able to pull it off tomorrow and get to the next round. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander versus Anthony Edwards is the preview of something so great. Obviously, Shai has a better team, and I would say better coach, you know, than the Timberwolves coach. But those two are going to go at it. I'm really hoping that goes to it, and then you got to think about it the other side as well. If Anthony Edwards or Shai gets a chance to play Halliburton or hopefully Brunson, you know, it would be so good for the NBA, in my opinion. Knicks versus Timberwolves is what I'm looking at right now. But if it was Thunder's Pacers, it would just be kind of to me. I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't be as interested. But this is the future right here. Like you said, this is the future. We got some great guards.
100% the future.
Even Cat's 100%. Part of it still. So, yeah.
A little bit, yeah, because he was drafted at 19 years old. Now he's 29, 30. Yeah, he's still got a few years left in the tank for sure. Left in the tank for sure. I think once we get to like 33, 34, it's like, okay, this guy's part of the old gen now. But the Pacers are young with Tyrese.
They're good too, man.
The Thunder are young and good, and the Timberwolves are largely young and good. They're led by a young superstar. They're not the youngest team in the league because they have Rudy, Julius Randle, and Mike Conley, just to name another guy. Jaden McDaniels is a fairly young basketball player too. I'm not mistaken. He's like mid-late 20s, but
he's like 27, I think, something like that.
Yeah, he's nice too. So we're really seeing like this is like in the coming years, these are the powerhouses of the league as it stands right now. Is the Thunder, the Timberwolves, and the Pacers. They're going to be the new powerhouses. They're going to be what was the Bucks, Heat, Celtics of the mid to late 2010s, where it was just chaos ball. It was chaos ball.
We need
those three matchups. It was like the meme of the two dudes fist fighting on the ground. The other guy's got his legs crossed, laying down, taking a picture and stuff like that. They all hated each other, and it was great. And I think we're going to get that pretty soon here with the Thunder and the Timberwolves. We're going to get that hate pretty soon. That those teams just do not like each other. They want to bang each other up as much as humanly possible.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to love watching those games on national television in the future. I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely.
And then the East, the Pacers, the Knicks, still the Celtics, even with no Jason Tatum next year, the Celtics are still going to be good.
Jaylen Brown breakout here, man.
The Bucks are in kind of a limbo stage where we really don't know what's going to happen. I think they'll be a top 10 team in the East. They're going to be playing postseason basketball, maybe not playoff basketball, but they'll be playing postseason basketball next year, one way or another.
Right. The Pistons are going to be
good. The Pistons, yeah.
The Magic, maybe.
Pacers, Knicks, Pistons, Magic.
If Magic can pick up like two more like pivotal players, I don't know exactly who, but watching them, it was kind of annoying because Jalen Suggs was injured, so didn't get a lot of help in the guard position.
I think the Magic could pillage the Pelicans a little bit. I mean, every team could really pillage the Pelicans. The Magic could also, if they're willing to sell the farm, LaMelo Ball.
No, they were not. I don't think they're getting rid of LaMelo. As much as I want him to leave because Charlotte's not it.
Well, he's got one more year left, or did he sign an extension?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think he signed, but
I'll look that up while you continue. I'll look it up.
Call me crazy, dude, but I don't think you can win with LaMelo Ball. I don't think you can. I really don't. He's too flashy for me, bro. He's young. He's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He's young. Yeah. He's injury prone in the ankles. I don't think he's like set on winning yet. You know how some players right now are like, I want to win. Anthony Edwards from the get-go, he's like Lamar Jackson. I want to win.
Oh yeah, LaMelo is tied down through the 28-29 season.
Yeah,
so not the biggest contract though. It's 5 years, 203. So just a hair AAV like next year or this year was 35 mil, and then it increases like $2 to $3 million a season.
Look, man,
his cap hit increases a few $1 million a season. He'll be getting paid $46 million in 28-29. So compared to like some other contracts right now, that's a steal.
Yeah, but
that's a steal for the Hornets.
I just don't think you can't win with him right now. Like he's not in that mindset in my opinion. The way he plays is so flashy, so fun to watch that it just reminds me of like, you go into like the gym and hooping. Like it doesn't seem like he's serious about getting a ring right now, and it's You know, it sucks because some players are like that, but it's just
he's also getting his bag. He's playing in the NBA. He took a weird route to get there, but he's in the NBA. He's doing what he wants to do. And eventually, the Hornets are going to be in a position to where they're going to be able to build around that.
Yeah,
and they're going. And I think the starting point was adding Mark Williams and then trying to bring in a guy like Dalton Connect to be that 1-2 guard combo in the backcourt. Right. That was the start. Was trying to make that move, get a pick out of it, and see where it goes from there. Now this offseason, I could also see them if they don't move LaMelo Ball to the Magic, like I was just kind of pitching there. I didn't really, there's really not a ton of merit to that, but I feel like that would be a situation that the Magic would try and put themselves in, right?
Right.
I think the Hornets, if they're trying to build up, if they want to build around LaMelo, they could pillage the Pelicans.
Mm-hmm.
They could take on a guy like Zion. They could take on a guy like Brandon Ingram. I don't know. Brandon Ingram's with the Raptors now. That's right. Yeah. That's right. Who do they get back for him?
So they get Kelly Olynyk and someone else. I know they got Kelly Olynyk and maybe someone else. I forgot, but I know Kelly went there. But yeah, I'm really excited for these playoffs, and it's these next few games are going to be
Bruce Brown and 2 picks. Bruce Brown and 2 picks with Kelly Olynyk. Yeah, so there's like next to nothing in that trade. I think they could be the next team that pillages the Pels and gets a guy like Zion.
Yeah,
they can do it. I can see it happening. The Pelicans have no business being. They have no business trying to be competitive right now. Get Zion out of New Orleans. He stops eating that gumbo. Stops eating that jambalaya.
New Orleans in general.
Moves to North Carolina.
The Saints and the Pelicans have no business trying to win anything right now. Rebuild and try again next year.
No. Yep, retool. I think the Saints played it safe by drafting Tyler Shuff in a way. I'm not, and in no way am I saying that because he's good, but I'm saying that because they knew something was wrong with Derek Carr. They knew they probably weren't going to have him long term, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. So you added a guy who had a lot of college experience, already 26-ish years old. He's like 25 pushing 26. So you added a guy with a lot of experience already, playing at a power forward program. And you're slowly introducing him to the NFL. He's not on a great team. He's got a lot of time to just kind of put the Saints in a spot to eventually move on from him. They're playing the real long game right now is what the Saints are doing. There in no way is Tyler Shuff the answer.
No way.
But he is the bridge.
Yeah.
He is the bridge to an answer. And I think the Saints are playing it right by making that move. The New Orleans Pelicans should probably do something out of the same playbook, move on from Zion, and find some spotty guys that are just going to be the bridge guys that'll bring in the next era of New Orleans basketball.
Every team has the leverage, though, against them because Zion gets hurt all the time. So it's going to be very tough to move him out of there.
We've been talking about that with Giannis, too. Every other team's going to have leverage with Giannis. But I think teams are starting to realize, like, okay, we can't lowball the Milwaukee Bucks.
Nope, not
they know what they're doing. Yep. They're not – like, John Horst is so good in trades and free agency. He's terrible with the draft.
He's terrible at development. Horrible.
They know that they know they can't screw over the Milwaukee Bucks.
Not gonna happen. But look, I want you to give me your predictions real quick before we get into our final thoughts. Thunder or Nuggets in 7, real quick.
It's hard because it's in OKC. OKC is a tough place to play, but Denver took it to OKC in Oklahoma City early in this series. They took it to them and knocked them. They beat them out of the gym.
Yep.
I'm going to go with the Oklahoma City Thunder, though. Yep. I think OKC wins it. I don't think Denver is – I like how Denver matches up with them. I think home court advantage plays a role in this. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to have a good game. Jalen Williams. I think this is a game where we were talking about it right away in the beginning of this podcast. They can't soften up on Jalen Williams. I think they will.
Yep.
I think they will soften up. They'll keep giving him that space. And eventually it's going to get to a point where they start having to cover him tight, and that's going to leave other guys open, and they're just screwing themselves over. I think Denver is going to fall in that one, and then it'll be OKC and Minnesota squaring off in the conference finals.
Real quick, give me your Knicks Celtics prediction, and then we can.
Knicks will win tonight. Knicks will win tonight. It's in New York. Knicks will win tonight. I think they'll move on to play Indiana in the next round.
All right, man. Give me your final thoughts. Anything you like to talk about? You can talk about Brewers. Talk about anything real quick before we log off here for the day.
Well, it's a version of the I-94 battle. This time it's a 5-hour drive though, instead of an hour and 30 minutes. It's Brewers Twins in Milwaukee this weekend.
It's fun.
And as far as I'm aware, we still don't know who's going to start on Saturday.
I was gonna say, we need a lot of people to come back, don't we?
As far as we know, we don't know who's starting Saturday. Tonight is going to be Chad Patrick, who's been outstanding, versus Joe Ryan. That's going to be a good one. It looks like Tobias Myers is getting called back up now that I look at it. Toby Myers is going to be back. He'll start on Saturday. Tobias Myers, it looked like a little bit too soon of sending him down, but at the same time, his command wasn't there, and he was walking just as many guys as he was striking out.
Right.
He's going to go against Pablo Lopez, who's been arguably the best pitcher in the American League this year. And then Sunday, we got Fastball Freddie. We got FU Freddie on the mound on Sunday. Matinee game against the Twins. I like the Brewers to beat the Twins in this series. I think this is a bounce back series for them. They had a nice game on Wednesday against Cleveland in Cleveland. Rhys Hoskins has been hot, right?
Yeah.
If the Brewers can, I think the most ideal situation though for the Brewers. This is my true final thought. I think the most ideal situation for Milwaukee is stay middle of the road and sell every veteran you got at the deadline. Ship them all away. Get as much back as you possibly can and get a left side of the infield bat and as many prospects as you can to keep boosting the farm. You can never have a good enough farm. No farm system will ever be good enough. You can always improve that. And I think the Brewers are in a situation this year where they're obviously not competing for a World Series. Mark Anastasio himself even said that at the beginning of the season. This is going to be a summer of fun. He doesn't care about winning this year. He does not care. So if they win, that's icing on the cake. But I think it's time to usher in a new competitive window that I thought was going to open next year. I think it now opens in 2027. I think it now opens in 2027. Next year, they'll be good again. Next year, they'll be fighting for the division again. This year is just enjoy the ride and just, for God's sake, hit the damn baseball, please.
Yeah.
Can we figure that out? I think we figured that out Wednesday, but we figured that out once every 5 games. Hit the damn ball, please.
Yep. All right, man. Hey, my last final thoughts. I'm gonna keep it short and simple. Chargers are winning the division next year. I'm calling it early. We're calling it early, and we're gonna leave it there. We're not gonna argue about it because you guys are wrong. I'm right. This is Shot of Sports, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us today. Subscribe to our YouTube, our Spotify, our Instagram, our TikTok, our Twitter, all that fun stuff. We will hit you with some clips every day if we can, and every day on the weekend. We'll be back Tuesday morning around 9:30, I would say 9:45 Central Time, and we'll get you back with some great sports, and this will be great. We love you guys, and we'll see you next Tuesday.